الحضور، قبل أن نبدأ فعاليات ملتقانا اليوم نريد أن نلفت انتباهكم إلى بعض إجراءات السلامة. في حالة حدوث أي طارئ لا قدر الله أو سماع جرس الإنذار، نرجو منكم الخروج من أقرب المخارج إليكم، وهي على النحو التالي: مخرجان حيث أشير مباشرة، وعلى يمين ويسار القاعة، وفي الخلف على اليمين واليسار. والتوجه مباشرة إلى منطقة التجمع في مواقف السيارات بكل هدوء، وسنكون بخير إن شاء الله. وللتعريف بالمبنى والإحاطة، يوجد دورات مياه للرجال في الطابق الأرضي على يسار القاعة، وأيضا دورات مياه للسيدات على يمين القاعة في الطابق الأول، والمصلى يوجد في الطابق الأرضي على يمين المبنى. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، السيدات والسادة، ضيوفنا الكرام، أيها الحفل الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا ومرحبا بكم في الملتقى السعودي الأول للماليين، والذي يقام تحت شعار الماليون في العقد الجديد، طموحات وتحديات، والذي تنظمه الهيئة السعودية للمحاسبين القانونيين وبرعاية من شركة ارامكو السعودية. أيها الحفل الكريم، إن هذا الملتقى يهدف إلى إبراز الدور الهام الذي يقوم به المختصون في الجوانب المالية في مساعدة المنشآت المختلفة والمتعاملين معها في اتخاذ القرارات الملائمة التي تكفل استمرار الأداء الجيد لهذه المنشآت ونموها. ويهدف الملتقى على وجه الخصوص إلى استشراف المستقبل بطموحاته وتحدياته لتحقيق 4 أهداف رئيسية. أولاً، اكتساب فهم أعمق للتحديات التي تواجه الماليين وبحث الحلول لها. ثانياً، تعزيز المهارات اللازمة للماليين للتطوير والنجاح. ثالثاً، ترسيخ أفضل الممارسات المطبقة ذات العلاقة بالمجالات المالية. رابعاً، توسيع وإثراء المناقشات وتبادل الخبرات وتحقيق فرصة تواصل بين ذوي الاهتمام والاختصاص بالجوانب المالية. خير ما نبدأ به ملتقانا آيات من القرآن الحكيم يقرأها الشيخ أحمد الدوسري، فليتفضل مشكورا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أسأل الله العظيم رب العرش الكريم الذي جمعني وإياكم في هذا المكان أن يجمعنا في الفردوس الأعلى. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة والكافرون هم الظالمون. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم، لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم، له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه، يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم، ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. لا إكراه في الدين، قد تبين الرشد من الغي، فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها، والله والله سميع عليم. الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور، والذين كفروا أولياؤهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات، أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون.
صدق الله العظيم. الكلمة الآن لسعادة الدكتور أحمد بن عبد الله المغامس، الأمين العام للهيئة السعودية للمحاسبين القانونيين، فليتفضل مشكورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بداية نحمد الله سبحانه وتعالى على سلامة قائدنا خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك عبد الله بن عبد العزيز، وأسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يمد في عمره على طاعته. الأخوة والأخوات، أيها الحفل الكريم، يسر الهيئة السعودية للمحاسبين القانونيين أن ترحب بهذا الجمع الكريم في هذه المناسبة المهنية الطيبة، وهي مناسبة عقد الملتقى السعودي الأول للماليين، والذي ينعقد بمشاركة مع شركة ارامكو السعودية. ينعقد تحت شعار الماليون في العقد الجديد، طموحات وتحديات. كما سبق وأن ذكر مقدم الحفل، يهدف هذا الملتقى إلى استشراف المستقبل بطموحاته وتحدياته لاكتساب فهم أعمق للتحديات التي تواجه الماليين، وبحث الحلول لها، وتعزيز المهارات اللازمة لهم للتطور والنجاح، وترسيخ أفضل الممارسات المطبقة ذات العلاقة بالمجالات المالية، وتوسيع وإثراء المناقشات وتبادل الخبرات، وتحقيق فرص التواصل بين ذوي الاهتمام والاختصاص بالجوانب المالية. إننا في المملكة العربية السعودية لا نشعر بالاعتزاز لما وصلت إليه مهنة المحاسبة والمراجعة، حتى أصبحت الهيئة السعودية للمحاسبين القانونيين بفضل ما وصلت إليه من تطور إحدى الهيئات المهنية المعتمدة لدى الاتحاد الدولي للمحاسبين IFAC، معتمدة لدى الاتحاد الدولي لكي يمكن الاسترشاد بتجاربها وخبراتها. فقد اختار الاتحاد الدولي للمحاسبين الهيئة السعودية للمحاسبين القانونيين من ضمن 16 هيئة مهنية عالمية فقط على مستوى العالم يمكن الاستفادة من خبراتها في مجال تطوير مهنة المحاسبة والمراجعة. لم يكن ذلك كله لا يتحقق لولا توفيق الله عز وجل، ثم دعم حكومة خادم الحرمين الشريفين وتضافر الجهود المخلصة للمنتمين للمهنة والمستفيدين من خدماتها. يأتي عقد الهيئة السعودية للمحاسبين القانونيين لهذا الملتقى، والذي يتناول عدد من المحاور والموضوعات المهمة لذوي الاهتمام والاختصاص في المجالات المالية بشكل خاص والاقتصاد بشكل عام، في إطار حرصها على نشر الوعي المهني في كل ما له ارتباط بمهنة المحاسبة خصوصا والمجالات المالية عموما على نحو يحقق المصلحة العامة للمجتمع، حيث سيتم في هذا الملتقى مناقشة 8 محاور وسيقدمها نخبة من المختصين كل في مجال عمله. وهي: أولا، سيناقش الملتقى تطور دور المالية والحاجة إلى استقطاب أفضل المواهب. ثم سننتقل إلى موضوع الاقتصاد السعودي في عام 2011، ومن ثم ننتقل إلى محور دور المدير المالي رؤية من الرئيس التنفيذي. كذلك سنتطرق إلى التحديات التي تواجه الماليين. كذلك سنتكلم عن دور الماليين في استراتيجيات تطوير الأعمال. كذلك لا ننسى في أحد محاورنا أن نتكلم عن الدروس المستفادة في مجال التمويل والاستثمار. كذلك سيتكلم الأخوة عن الأزمة المالية وكذلك المهارات المالية للعقد القادم. ونتطلع نحن في الهيئة السعودية للمحاسبين والقانونيين أن يستمر عقد هذا الملتقى دوريا من قبل الشركات الرائدة في المملكة العربية السعودية. ونقول من سن سنة حسنة فله أجرها. ونشكر شركة ارامكو على ما قامت به من جهد وما ذللت من الصعاب حتى تم عقد هذا الملتقى. ولا يفوتني أن أشكر كل من سعادة الأستاذ عبد اللطيف العثمان نائب الرئيس الأعلى للمالية بشركة ارامكو السعودية، وسعادة الأستاذ محمد العلي المراقب المالي العام وزملائهم على حرصهم الكبير على التعاون مع الهيئة السعودية في كل ما من شأنها النهوض بالمهنة. كما أشكر كل من ساهم في جهود الإعداد لهذا الملتقى وتنظيمه. كما لا يفوتني أن أشكر الأخوة الأفاضل الذين يشاركوننا في تقديم محاور هذا الملتقى. كما أشكر الأخوة والأخوات الحضور الكرام على تفضلهم بالمشاركة، سائل الله عز وجل أن يوفقنا للعمل على خدمة هذا الوطن الكريم وتحقيق رفعته وازدهاره. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكرا لكم وأهلا بكم مجددا في فعاليات الملتقى السعودي الأول للماليين. فيما يلي كلمة شركة ارامكو السعودية والمحاضرة الرئيسية الأولى في هذا الملتقى بعنوان تطوير دور المالية والحاجة إلى استقطاب أفضل المواهب، ويلقيها سعادة الأستاذ عبد اللطيف العثمان النائب الأعلى للرئيس للشؤون المالية بشركة ارامكو السعودية. التحق الأستاذ عبد اللطيف العثمان بالعمل في شركة ارامكو السعودية في عام 1981 وتدرج في السلم الوظيفي بها وتسلم عدد من المناصب القيادية، وكان آخرها تعيينه نائبا أعلى للرئيس للشؤون المالية في مايو 2005. بعد أن تولى منصب نائب الرئيس للشؤون المالية منذ عام 2003. تخرج من جامعة الملك فهد للبترول والمعادن في عام 1979 حيث حصل على شهادة البكالوريوس في الهندسة المدنية. كما حصل على شهادة الماجستير في إدارة الأعمال في عام 1998 من جامعة MIT بالولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. عمل عضو في مجلس إدارة شركة بترول وهي المشروع المشترك لشركة ارامكو السعودية في الفلبين. كما شغل منصب رئيس معهد إدارة المشاريع فرع الخليج العربي، وعمل عضو في الجمعية الدولية لاقتصاديات الطاقة. فليتفضل مشكورا.
شكرا. السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests and fellow finance professionals, it is with pride and joy that we witness the launch of the first Saudi Finance Professional Forum. Saudi Aramco is honored to join the Organization of Certified Public Accountants in sponsoring this program. This forum is unique in that it brings together those of us who desire to nurture and develop the finance profession and professionals in the kingdom. It brings together executives, accountants, auditors, investment professionals, analysts, and academicians, all in one setting. I think this is the first time it is done, to my knowledge. Nothing could be more timely, indeed more urgent, than launching this effort to increase the quantity and the quality of finance professionals in our country. In today's economy, finance professionals from around the world are being called upon to serve not only in technical roles, but also to contribute in central roles of strategic planning, but also contribute in central roles of strategic planning, innovation, and management. During recent years, corporate finance organizations have been transforming to tackle complexities and challenges of our evolving environment. Improvements in technology and the drive to reduce costs and cycle time led to process efficiencies. Major international business scandals resulted in regulations that led to increased focus on governance. More recently, finance organizations have been challenged not only to provide data, but also to provide analysis and insights to enhance the business decisions, measure corporate performance, and engage in strategy formulations. What we have witnessed is a major change in expectations from our professionals than what used to be in the past. Here in Saudi Arabia, the nation is driven to attain and sustain rapid economic growth and diversification in order to provide quality jobs for our fast-growing population. At Saudi Aramco, we are focused on transforming our enterprise into a global powerhouse, not only in the upstream oil exploration and production where we lead the world today, but also deeper downstream into petrochemicals and specialty chemicals, fostering the creation of a vibrant conversion industry. A major portion of Saudi Aramco's future business portfolio will be in joint ventures with multinational companies. Already Saudi Aramco is partnering within the kingdom and globally in areas of refining and petrochemicals. These joint ventures require new kinds of expertise, including the skills for interfacing with financial reporting requirements of partner firms, their public shareholders, and home government regulators. Saudi Aramco also launched an entrepreneurship center to train Saudi citizens in the skills for success in business creation and to incubate and nurture homegrown small and medium technology-oriented businesses. The kingdom's economic development is all about creating value and making the right investment decision. This is at the heart of what finance professionals do and are good at. And that's why we need to seize this opportunity of this exciting challenge and prepare a leading cadre of finance professionals. Today's generation of finance professionals in the kingdom will have exciting opportunities, not only to carry our traditional responsibilities such as budgeting, cost containment, and financial reporting, but also strategic management, roles in long-term planning and risk management. Surveys by the Corporate Executive Board indicate a dramatic change in just one decade. In 2000, 83% of global finance executives surveyed stated that accounting and auditing as the most essential skill for finance professionals. 10 years later, responding to the same question, only 21% of executives ranked accounting and auditing as the most essential skill. 38% said leadership was the most essential, while 17% indicated statistics and modeling, and 8% indicated deep industry knowledge. As the world progresses into the knowledge economy, finance professionals are moving ever closer to the center of leadership. Because financial professionals are knowledge workers par excellence, mastering finance is like mastering a language. Both versatile and precise to describe and project business risks and rewards, goals and results. Mastery of the financial discipline needs to be complemented with the soft skills, such as communication, advocacy, and influence and leadership, coupled with deep business knowledge of the industry you're in. To address this challenge, I believe we need to work together on creating the right ecosystem for nurturing the best financial professionals and the financial industry. This can be summarized in 5 points. First, in addressing the pressing needs for improving education of our youngest citizens. Attaining stronger math and science ability is vital if we are to have a large, strong generation of homegrown financial professionals. We want to align these efforts of ours with those of all members of the financial profession in the kingdom. A second area is the opportunity for finance professionals to collaborate with institutions of higher education. Throughout the kingdom and across the spectrum of business, there is a demand for young Saudis with finance-related degrees. Saudi Aramco's financial professionals look forward to joining with other financial professionals in the kingdom in partnering programs with the nation's universities. Together, we can provide insight to ensure that curricula include courses and experiences that will promote and enhance business and finance knowledge and development of basic soft skills and competencies. Members of our profession can send subject matter experts to the classroom learning experience by teaching and sharing relevant experiences. We can also provide a structured internship with clearly communicated expectations and agreed upon goals, objectives, and measures of performance. Effectively, we can function as mentors before the students graduates to the professional workforce. Early on-campus engagement provides an additional benefits to employers in the kingdom. Through classroom interaction, including students in professional forums and internships, we have the opportunity to identify top students prior to graduation. Our third common challenge is in promoting a desire to pursue lifelong learning, training and continuing education throughout the careers of the kingdom's financial professionals. As great as the investment in early and higher education must be, pre-career lifelong learning is what changes everything. Lifelong learning is not merely about having diplomas, certificates, technologies, and skill sets. Lifelong learning is our discipline, is about being financial professional as a way of life. In every business in the kingdom, not only is it essential to have robust programs of formal training and continuing education of professionals, it's also essential to foster a culture of mentoring. A fourth opportunity we should pursue is to build on an already strong financial system and continue to expand it. Advancements of the secondary market, custody businesses, trust laws, as well as Islamic finance are all ripe to play a critical role in taking our financial market to higher levels. Fifth, each of you and each member of the next generation of Saudi Aramco financial professionals is called to leadership in business and in society. As I mentioned earlier, your success as a leader depends on your skills and devoting at communicating, educating, and interpreting financial matters to your business associates or clients. Financial professionals also are indispensable for business objectives of operational excellence and change management. We should broaden our knowledge and look at business issues from its multiple angles. A major component of change management is keeping ahead of the curve and understanding rapidly changing technologies as they affect the way we do business. The capstone for leadership is ethical integrity. Financial professionals must recognize the terrible damage caused by the world economy in recent years by unethical financial practices. By embracing prudence and honesty, we can strengthen our national economy and contribute to a sustainable world economic recovery. Each of you and every member of the next generation of Saudi financial professionals will bear a solemn responsibility to protect our business and public institutions from undue financial risks. Your specialized financial training will make you often uniquely valuable to your employers or clients in this regard. Paradoxically, in order to protect society and business from hazardous risks, you often will have to take personal risks. It could be risky to your career when you give your honest judgment and say no to a powerful and ambitious person who is determined to hear yes to a pet project. You may face personal risks when you take firm measures to prevent or expose fraud or corruption. Remember, the financial professionals who bear the responsibility for much of the world's economic crisis of 2008 were not lacking neither in the tools nor in the specialized knowledge of finance, but they were deficient in moral courage and prudence and the practical wisdom that is sound management. It is exactly the spirit of personal risk, of giving yourself to your profession, that makes the difference between having the tools and the skills and being what you are called to be, a true professional. Let me close with a word about the genesis of this forum. The Finance Department of Saudi Aramco conducts frequent orientation programs for new employees, including new hires to the company from the kingdom or abroad, as well as employees transferring from other organizations at Saudi Aramco. Each orientation program includes team building exercise and development of initiatives to improve the work of the company. A team building exercise devoted to corporate social responsibility was the genesis of this forum. In other words, we owe the existence of this forum to a group which by its very nature took a fresh look at things and proposed an initiative from the grassroots. This is the same sort of spirit that energizes our gathering today. With the capable partnership of SUQBA and other professionals represented here today, I am confident that Saudi financial professionals can build a strong and durable team, always fresh and innovative in outlook to increase and sustain economic value in our kingdom. Thank you very much.
وأهلا بكم مجددا في فعاليات الملتقى السعودي الأول للماليين. الآن نستمع إلى المحاضرة الرئيسية الثانية في هذا الملتقى، وهي بعنوان الاقتصاد السعودي في 2011 لسعادة الدكتور جونز فان كيانيكيس، كبير الاقتصاديين بالبنك السعودي الفرنسي. الدكتور جونز فان كيانيكيس هو كبير الاقتصاديين في البنك السعودي الفرنسي. عمل قبل ذلك في البنك السعودي البريطاني وفي مجموعة سامبا الماليين. كما عمل في برنامج الأمم المتحدة الإنمائي، حيث عمل مع وزارة الاقتصاد والتخطيط في المملكة ضمن فريق إعداد الخطة التنموية الثامنة. عمل الدكتور جون أيضا في البنك الدولي في واشنطن في إدارتي الشرق الأوسط وشرق آسيا، وهو باحث ومتحدث معروف وحاصل على الدكتوراه من جامعة هارفارد. فليتفضل مشكورا. Please.
But what I wanted to do is to share with you some of my thoughts about how we can address one of the challenges that we face in Saudi Arabia, which is very important, and I have written about it. And so my intention was to share with you how do we fix and how do we address the labor challenge in Saudi Arabia, which is far more critical than for me to tell you where inflation is going to go, where is GDP going to go, and you all feel happy, have coffee, and then you continue with the rest of the business. That is going to be, in my opinion, a waste of time if I just tell you that GDP is going to grow by 4.2 and inflation is going to be at 5.1. And if global food prices go up, food inflation is going to rise in Saudi Arabia, and we have very little debt and we have a lot of foreign assets, and then we all go home. So let me tell you what is the problem in Saudi Arabia with the labor market and how we're going to fix it. And it's very simple how we're going to fix it, right? The problem is that in 2005, when I participated in the 8th five-year plan, and I was one of the authors of the 8th five-year plan document, which usually gets burned in Saudi Arabia, doesn't get read much. We decided that the target for 2005 to 2009 8th plan was going to be a reduction in unemployment. So at that point, unemployment was around 5%, and we had thought that unemployment is going to come down to around 2.5%. In fact, by some magic, we took unemployment for 5% all the way to 10.5%. So the plan failed. And why has it failed? It failed quite simply because of one dynamic. I do not just say that it is an issue of skills, or it is an issue of work ethics, or it is an issue that the national workforce doesn't want to work. It is really an issue about incentives. Economists talk about incentives. It is an issue about incentives, and it is an issue about taking administrative measures. What do I mean by that? Very simple. We opened the floodgates of expatriate inflow in large numbers. In fact, between 2008 and 2009, the expatriate workforce grew by 24%. 24%. If you think the Saudi population is increasing by 2.2, expatriate population is increasing by about 23%. And in 2008 and 2009, expatriate population grew by 23.5%, to be more accurate. And certainly, if we keep this business as usual scenario, the private sector is going to feel very happy. You know, private sector participants and businessmen in general, these are not unique to Saudi Arabia. If you let them loose, if you let them alone, they will try to maximize their profits. So what are they going to do? They will do what they think is perfectly normal for them. They will go and hire the expatriate who is coming in for 600 or 1,000 riyals, right? Because this is the average wage. And he will opt not to hire the Saudi because he's too expensive, too difficult to fire, sometimes not working as much, not very productive, right? All these issues. And of course there is some truth to this and some myth to this, right? But definitely the incentives are there by the private sector to import more foreigners and for the national workforce, you know, to go and look for jobs in the public sector. And certainly the measures taken recently to increase public sector employment and to take all these semi-permanent and temporary workers in the public sector and turn them into permanent is not giving a good message. The message is that the public sector will keep on hiring forever when there is a need. So what is this doing us? It's doing us a very it's doing us a lot of damage to the economy, because you have basically 32% of your workforce which is actively participating in the economy, where it should be around 65. You're educating right now a lot of people abroad, not more than 90,000, and another, 25,000 will enter the category of benefiting from the King Abdallah scholarship program. And you have a private sector which 96% of it is hiring expatriates, and the public sector hires nationals. That's very nice. And definitely I would say that Saudi Aramco cannot hire people because you have already employed a lot of people. You're actually overemploying people. So your efficiency level is actually falling, right? I'm sure Saudi Aramco will say to the contrary, but out of the 55,000, 15,000 are nurses and security people and all that. So you can run Saudi Aramco with 25,000 people, in fact. So what do we do? For sure, we don't have an economy where we can turn it into Saudi Aramco, right? I wish we could, but we cannot. Because the Saudi Aramco is a very different company in the sense that they do provide and they do act as an important beacon for development for the economy. But we cannot turn the economy into Saudi Aramco because we have a lot of oil, but we are very capital intensive and we're not very human intensive. So we have a problem there as well. Censorship. So how do we change this? It's very simple. You know, you don't need to be really a labor economist. You don't actually need to be an economist, right? To think how you're going to change this. You need to do all these things at the same time. You need to take administrative measures so that you don't bring any more new guys from abroad into the economy, and you need to phase out the existing expatriates. So over the next 10 to 15 years, you need to get rid of me and everybody else, right? That's how you shift. Now let me give you an example, because by now I know I have lost half of you, and you're already wondering, what is this guy talking about? It's very simple. I've even given this message to the highest authority of this country. You know. So the example, I mean. So let me give you the example. You have 8 guys trying to sweep the streets, right? You have a street and you have 8 foreigners sweeping the street, right? It's very simple to have 8 guys. Why? Because you're paying them 500 riyals each. So you have 8 guys. You go to any mall today, how many guys do you see sitting in a retail shop? A lot of guys, right? Why do you see them sitting? Because it's very cheap to have these guys. You put them in, one walks, the other guy on the phone, the third one is scratching his head, the fourth one is sleeping, right? So there is a lot of labor inefficiency already in the system, right? How many people clean pools? Not you yourselves, but how many actual people do you see cleaning pools? Many people. Automation hasn't hit this country yet, so you have to create automation as well. You need to get rid of all these people, okay? So you get rid of all the 8 people and you hire a Saudi. You will say, a Saudi I won't hire. The Saudi will not want to work because it's considered bad. Well, incentives is all about the future of this country, and you need to create incentives. So you will take one guy and tell him, listen, my friend, you're going to clean the street. He will say, no, I'm not going to do it for 500 riyals. Okay, you will take the 8 salaries and you will clean it. You think you will find a Saudi who is willing to take the same wage as the 8, combined 8 people, and clean the street? Might be yes, some of you might say no. I will say probably we're still in the no category. The guy will say no, it's not very dignified, right? Okay, you get him an engine, a machine, which is air conditioned, and put him inside. It's done in all the modern cities with the cleaners, the automatic cleaners. He gets 4,000 riyals, 5,000 riyals with benefits. He does not complain that it's very hot, okay? During the summer months, he will be air conditioned and he will feel dignified. By doing that, you don't create inflation, because it's also a myth that you will create inflation in the economy, because you're basically replacing the 8 guys with 1 guy. This is how the economy will change its labor structure. That's it. It's all about incentives. Yes, productivity will fall. Yes, people will say, I'm lazy, I don't want to work. Yes, you have a tendency also to have people who prefer to have office jobs, but you will get people, because the incentive will be there for them to come in and work for that wage. That's how you do it. Now, you might say, how am I going to actually enforce this? Well, this is up to the country. You need to take care of the vested interests. You need to be able to exclude these vested interests from the economy, and you need to be straightforward. Because in the next 15 years, I don't know, guys, how you're going to create the jobs, or ladies. I don't know how you're going to create the jobs if you continue like this. Right now in Saudi Arabia, you don't have 8.5 million expatriates. In fact, you have 10 million. But this is not mentioned in the statistics, because you have about 1 million to 1.5 million, which is illegal. You know, it's wandering out there. So, if you continue like this, the road is going to be not bumpy, but it's going to be a road where you will hit a very big wall. And the administrative measures you take, you have to take measures so that you exclude people from coming in, and eventually you phase them out. Of course, some good people will stay, like in any modern economy. There is always a force, there is always an expatriate force that supports and sustains many segments of the different economic sectors. But right now, you have a very lopsided scenario in the labor market, and it looks very, very distorted. So this is my solution. This is how, I mean, it has to be done. It's incentives. Where are you going to, a question here, 90,000 people come back from abroad. They finish their studies. Where are they going to find jobs? Let me give you one statistic. In 2009, 860,000 jobs were created in the private sector, and 147,000 jobs were lost for Saudis in the private sector. In 2010, for every 10 expatriate jobs, 1 was created for a national. You tell me how you're going to continue sustaining it. So you need to, amongst yourselves, build this momentum and start to tackle the vested interests. You have to decide. You want to have a country or you don't want to have a country. It's that simple. The trade-off is not do we have cheap labor or we don't have cheap labor. No. The paradox is I have a country, I don't have a country. It's the same issue about oil. If you want to go into the renewable sector, it has to be a question like, do I want to have a country or I don't want to have a country? Because once you run out of oil, you don't have anything else. And oil is going to run out eventually. And you cannot build a country based on the notion that one day, I'll find something else. Maybe one day the world will find something else. And they will say, I don't want oil anymore, right? You cannot exclude that. That's why renewables, that's why nuclear technology is very important for this country, because that will keep you sustained for a very long time after that. And also you will be able to export eventually energy. You will be able to export solar energy, the electricity produced, and also eventually the technology, right? And you need to go after those sectors where you will excel. The future of Saudi Arabia is in that sector, renewable sector for sure, solar technology and harnessing solar technology and building on it, and of course investing and bringing that technology in order to build the R&D in this country. Changing the energy mix has to become a fundamental issue that this country has to tackle. You cannot have gasoline at these prices because I'm an inefficient user of gasoline. I opted, for instance, to drive instead of taking the plane. You cannot have this. You cannot just have one guy taking the car back and forth. You need to have a proper connection. You need to have the airline functioning because now it's dysfunctional. And you need to have a railroad connection between the two sides of the country. And the third element is that this country has to think seriously about the service sector. The service sector is another element that we keep on ignoring, and in that I mean directly the religious tourism of this country. You have a great potential. You cannot say that other countries are doing better and we ignore the fact that the future of this country is in many ways dependent on that. The economy of this country can become like Switzerland. It can very much become like a service-oriented economy. You might complain and say, but Saudis are not service-oriented. Well, tough. You become. Because the question again is, do you want a country or you don't want a country? It's that simple. The world is moving ahead. There is a catch-up phase that is extremely huge. But alhamdulillah, I always say Saudi Arabia has something that many other countries do not have, which is, for instance, the oil importers of the Middle East. They don't have the capital you have. You think the future of Egypt is bright? I mean, Egypt, in my opinion, is doomed for the next 20 years. They're done. They're finished. But you have the capital. You have the means to think about the future, and you do have, in many ways, the people to think about the future. You need to take that goal and strive for it and go for it. I know I depressed you, and I did it without slides. I was going to depress you further. So it seems God avoided this. I really wanted to share with you my thoughts. I would have done a great disservice if I had just given you another cookonomist view. I'll cook the numbers and I'll make you look fine, and you all go and have coffee and cookies and say Dr. John with this last weird name, came and saw us. And I have different versions to my name. I don't want to repeat them because some of them sound really bad. It was really bad because on Saudi TV it happened once where I was invited and the gentleman saw my name. He didn't practice and he called me Dr. Fana Fakna Nakfela Napa. And on the earphone, the guy on the control was going crazy and he was saying, shut this guy off. So the second intermission we had, I told him, listen, Khaled, I don't think we should do this again. No, Dr. John, I have duty, I have to pronounce your name. Okay. Rabbana used to, you know. Okay. Anyway, the exit is this way, so I will go. So he tries again, you know, dear viewers, this is Saudi Channel 2, English version. Huh? I have made it in #1 also, but there they go Dr. John. Okay. They learned from the Saudi 2 guy. So I go and the guy says, welcome dear viewers, I have with me again Dr. Dr. Sphinx. Dr. Sphinx is with you. I said, listen, this is not good, you know. My friends are watching, you know, I have a friend, I told him to watch, not that anybody's watching Saudi 2 channel, but I had a poor friend watching. As he was saying this, the second cameraman, the whole camera fell on the floor because he was laughing. So we missed one cameraman, the other one, they had the other camera upstairs, and it was just a disaster. So the third time, he tries again. And I tell him, you know, listen, don't do this. Just say John, okay? I want to have a job, and you want to have a job, and, you know, it's just an interview. So what? Nobody is watching anyway. So he said, no, I'm going to try. Oh, it's unbelievable. By the way, I still talk to him. He does the same mistake. But he just calls me John now. So he goes on again. Dear viewers, welcome again. I have with me Dr. John Javanivsky. So Javanivsky, I go, this is Polish name. I'm a Greek guy. How you came up with this? So then I get an SMS from the Polish ambassador. Welcome to Poland. So don't worry about my last name. I get it all the time. Maybe I should become, you know, John El Muteri or Kahtani or Dosari. Dosari, I decided not to take it because of events in the United States. I said, I'll skip that one. I'll go with something else now. You know, in Shark al-Awsat once they had me as John El Hogel. John El Hogel. So Hogel, I go, okay, I'm here, Najdi, no problem. Nobody touches me. So you know, and honestly, I feel for this country because, not that my country is doing any better. I mean, they are worse. Actually, they are sinking non-stop. But I've spent 7 years of my life in this country, and I feel as if I am a Saudi. I mean, I've applied for the nationality. They're saying, you know, fil mishmish, you know, it's coming soon. I said, you know, have Doctorate, Harvard, Marvard, yani. Yeah, it's coming. Fi tariq. So I feel for this country, and if I am half a Greek, the other half I'm a Saudi. And I really want this country to do well because we have a lot of potential. We have the ability to do it. This country has transformed itself over the last 50, 60 years, and we need to help it. And these are, of course, obviously difficult times, no doubt. But it's during difficult times that we need to push and we need to change. You know, if we keep things business as usual, we will never change. So I want you to take what I tell you in a good way. It's difficult because I also have this job acting like a semi-spokesman for Saudi Arabia. I didn't go for the job, it became as such. And it's very difficult nowadays to explain to the world Saudi Arabia because people are biased. People look at just the bad stories, the negative stories. And, you know, I was talking, for instance, yesterday to a journalist, and the journalist said to me, oh, you're going to the Eastern Province. Yeah, I go, yeah, why? Oh, this is the hotbed of revolution. Where is it? I said, show it to me. Where is the revolution? Oh, it's happening there. What are you talking about? And basically, you know, there is this bias and there is this misunderstanding that has gone on for many years in the case of Saudi Arabia, as well as the Arab world, no doubt. And now you will see it more, unfortunately. And we all have a duty, and some of you are senior people. I know some of you very well, and I admire you and I respect you. And you also play a very important role in sharing your knowledge, but also trying to protect and to preserve what we have, and we try also to fix it from within. But without any further ado, I really want to open the floor, because I know I have 8 minutes before I, exit, to listen to what you have to say, and of course to try and respond and to share a little bit some of my thoughts. Hassan.
Yeah, thank you, John. Very brief comment on the labor issue that you raised, rightfully, of course. You see, the thing is, a Korean colleague told me that we in Korea learn things only once, meaning that we'll have someone, for example, to build up a factory for us, and then that means that will be the end. They will build the factory in Korea, and then we'll take it from there, meaning mimicking other factories elsewhere, including, say, Saudi Arabia or wherever it is, and we continue like that. A case in point is look at Koreans and what they've done with, say, atomic
Yes.
energy, and for peaceful endeavors, and they really competed with all the rest. And in the UAE, for example, they won. They beat up the French and all this. So my issue is that here in Saudi Arabia, regarding the labor issue, we are learning the same thing about 15,000 times. About 8 years ago, a very in-depth study took place on unemployment in Saudi Arabia. That word was forbidden then, just like poverty. It was detailed with solutions, with almost everything, including the benefits for job searchers. And then, about 4 years later, another effort, which is the Saudi employment strategy, was also commissioned, and it was approved by the cabinet about 20 months from now, earlier, 20 months ago. In there you have, it is 25 years plan, divided into 3 stages, and you have for the first 24 months, it is you can say the urgent or emergency issues, including some of the points that you mentioned. The point is that until this moment, it is not implemented. Meaning, so what we know the solutions, but the issue is with execution. You see, it's not the knowledge that we're lacking.
Yes.
But we're lacking execution. And the problem is aggravating. But it seems that the only thing is we really need to do something about the supply curve, which is almost flat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, I completely agree. I completely agree. It's the implementation. Please, Mutlaq.
John, thanks for the presentation.
Yes, sir.
I think one thing you might want to touch on, explain, is especially in the labor market in Saudi Arabia, the foreign labor component, is labor here is a commodity. It's bought and sold. Unlike any other developed economy, you and I and others have worked in Western countries, where labor is really part of the assets, part of the production machine. Here, it's just basically a product. It's bought and sold, and somebody is benefiting from that selling and buying of this commodity. Otherwise, you will not find it. So you might want to say a few things about that.
You're right. Yeah. Exit is here, yes. Okay. No, you're right. It's a commodity. It's a commodity, and as I said, it's a vested interest. And unless people who have these interests are either told that they cannot do it, or they themselves, which I don't think so, they feel that they're harming the economy and they change, then we will not see a change. You're absolutely right. It supports this idea that we have inefficiencies. You go to any store and you see these people sitting there. And that's because of the abundance of cheap labor, the abundance. You can hire labor, but not abundantly. And this is the sad story about not only just Saudi Arabia. You see the same problem in Qatar. Qatar, I say it's the supermarket of the Gulf, the 5-star hotel, with 200,000 people and 1 million foreigners serving the 200,000 people. I mean, this is not sustainable. But it's a small place and they can do it for a long time. Saudi Arabia doesn't have the time. So definitely there is that. And I think that, you know, today if you read some of the papers, there is an announcement by, I think it's the Shura Council or somebody saying that in the next 2 years they will increase employment by 1 million people or 2 million people. How are they going to do this? I mean, it's impossible. And these knee-jerk reactions that you see, that we hire 150,000 people immediately in the public sector, that doesn't help the mentality also of the average Saudi who says, okay, if I don't find employment in the private sector, oh, the government will always hire me, will always be there. And we need to get out of this mentality of, you know, 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock, I punch my card, I leave, I go for to see my shop that I have selling mobile phones, and I come back at 2, punch the card, and then I leave. You can't. But you're absolutely right that it is a commodity, and this has to stop. And we need to hit the vested interests. The visas, those who handle the visas, they need to be taken out. They need to say, that's it, enough. You're not helping our economy. You want to make money somewhere else? Okay, so make somewhere else money.
John.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you that the labor is the challenge, and on the need to make the appropriate shift from expatriate to national. But also the challenge will not be solved just by the displacement. You have to grow and create more jobs. Can you comment from an economics standpoint on how the minimum wage can play as a role in making this a structural change?
Sure. It's very simple. First of all, we cannot put a minimum wage right now, because if you put, it's going to be ineffective. Because now the Saudi is competing with the expatriate. You know, you're competing with the labor market in Islamabad, in Manila, in what have you. So it's ineffective if you put a minimum wage of 2,000 riyals, nothing will happen. You need to, as you're phasing out all these, you know, you have a phase period of 15 years where you begin to take them out, and then you need to address the minimum wage. But the minimum wage doesn't have to necessarily be there. Also, the minimum wage is an argument. You can have it, and you can also do away with it when you have more of a different labor market than the one you have right now, because right now it's distorted. Those who have education skills, you see, those who have education skills cannot compete in the private sector. They have selective jobs. So now you will have 90,000, as I gave you the figure in 2009, you had 800+ jobs created for expatriates and 147,000 jobs lost for Saudis. So 90,000 come back over the next 4 years or 5 years. Where are they going to find jobs? In the banking sector, it's impossible, because we have 40,000 people, of which 5,000 are expatriates, and the Saudization rate is inflated already, meaning that the banks hire already a lot of people just to keep the Saudization rates, you know, look inflated. So there is inbuilt inefficiency. In fact, I had a chart where but it's in the report I published recently, where I talk about productivity in the public sector and the private sector. Productivity in the public sector is going down big time, In the private sector, it keeps on going up and down, but over the last 2 years, it's down. And I think it's going to continue going down. So I think that the minimum wage can play a role, but not, you know, we don't necessarily need it. This is what I'm saying. You know, because what will happen is wages will rise for Saudis as expatriates are phased out, but also do not think that there will be immediate inflation, because you'll be phasing out one part of the economy replaced by other wages in the hands of nationals. And the other good thing about this is that instead of having 100 billion riyals exiting the economy every year in terms of remittances, a lot of this money will be circulating in the economy. These people who have 3,000 riyals will go and say, I'll buy the rice, I'll buy the food, I'll buy the car, I'll buy the house, I'll buy, you know, and things will look very differently. From that, the economy can grow by 30 to 40% in real terms. This is a significant increase in terms of output. Because right now we're losing 100 billion riyals every year. You know, myself and others are remitting money outside. And especially these days, if you think about it, people are remitting even more. To answer that, yesterday I was in a conference, and one gentleman, I don't want to say his name, he's very well known, he said to me, but you know, we take out the foreigners, we save 100 billion. I say, yes, this is very correct, but also because he was a big businessman, I said to him, if you also bring your money from outside, we will also be helped. And he didn't say anything else. He always tries to say something. I think we're done. Are we done? Am I saved? Say my, yeah. I heard my, okay. Well, thank you again very much. I am very honored by your invitation. I hope I didn't do a disservice to you and you got something out of me as much as I did out of you. And I really thank you again. Thank you very much. Thank you.